Before Steve passed, he wrote down stories of his life. I'd like to read them to you now. Early childhood years. I can remember the early childhood years. I was an adventurous sort, even at the age of 2 years old. I can remember getting out of the Washington, D.C. apartment on a chair and undoing the chain that kept me inside and safe. There was a creek outside. I loved to play in that creek. I remember losing one or even both of my shoes in that creek the first time I was out in it. Years later, we used to float little handmade boats down creeks like this and dig up crawfish. As I got older, the adventurous spirit continued. My friends and I would do things like go up in the tree before a storm and swing in the wind as the storm came in. It was just so much fun. We also decided it was fun to take the manhole covers off each side of the street and crawl under it. One time I crawled under Interstate 66 this way. I mean, it was tight. You had to kind of shimmy through it like a snake. If any chemicals or flooding had come through at that same time, we would probably not have lived to tell the story. I was into aviation at an early age and wanted to be a pilot. I had a lot of World War II model fighter jets and planes on the ceiling that looked like a hell of a dogfight was going on up there. I think if I could do it all again, I would somehow make my dream of becoming a pilot come true this time. Not see it go up in flames due to a motorcycle accident that almost killed me in September of '91. Aviation was one of my greatest passions. Besides aviation, I was interested in law enforcement. Both fields had their challenges with the bad eyesight, but I kept trying to make my dreams come true for years, in one or the other. As for school, I had my strong and weak points. My father was a college professor at George Mason University. I remember I was a slow reader, but had a rather high comprehension level. I was a bad speller. I really had to study to do well in a spelling test. I was really good at math and science. I was often tagged for some gifted and talented classes, but I did have really bad allergies sometimes that could not seem to be easily addressed. I would often be out from school 2 to 3 weeks suffering from them, only to come back to find that I was too far behind now for the advanced class. I actually did get to do 1 to 2 of them, but not all. I started to really look down on school. I was in Catholic school from 1st until 6th grade. In the 5th grade, we were seriously still reading those stupid Dick and Jane books. See Spot Run? Really? In the 5th grade? My father was busy really educating us. We were reading mystery novels in kindergarten, biographies, autobiographies, fiction, you name it. Very interesting stuff. Yet at school, what a boring curriculum. My dad took us to the public library every weekend, where we worked on a real education for us. As I started my college years, I still was not sure what direction I should be going with my education. I got married to my high school sweetheart and got a job as a bank teller at first. But within a few years, I was an AVP, branch manager and sales manager there, and really moving ahead with my banking career. I also went through the entire scouting program, including Order of the Arrow and Eagle Scout. I almost lost complete interest in scouting when I was 16. I bought a muscle car, a 1978 Z28 Camaro, and started delving more seriously into the world of girls and dating. But when my brother was getting closer to his Eagle Scout, that encouraged me to get more involved again too. So I wrapped up my Eagle Scout as well, which also left me the rank of Junior Assistant Scoutmaster in the end. At one point in the late 80s, we were in a bit of a recession. It seemed like a good time to get out of the savings and loan banking industry, But my first marriage also ended. I guess we just grew apart, especially with the time devoted to working and school. Her new man seemed to have all the time in the world for her. I think one thing I learned in this marriage was that money doesn't buy happiness. I got her everything she ever seemed to want: horses, trucks, sports cars, you name it. But after being together for about 7 years, I guess she got the itch to move on with someone new. I spent 2 years trying to figure out my next move. In the end, through a lot of evaluation and soul searching, I ended up almost making my dream of becoming a pilot come true. I had all the financing in place to become a commercial pilot. But because of my eyesight, the best I could do was maybe fly cargo or do charter flights. I was never going to fly commercial flights with hundreds of people on board with my vision. So off I went. I aced ground school and also passed the physical. Then I got a bit sidetracked on my goal. I had been dating off and on, not as much as in high school, but I ended up getting married again. It seemed like I had worked my first wife out of my system and was ready to start again. While Dad had always warned about the dangers of motorcycles and not riding them, all of the males in this new family I had married into seemed to have at least one. So I tried a 1250, and while I'd have some trouble with gears and really the weight, it built my confidence a little on them. I soon moved on to my actual flight lessons in the air out of Richmond, Virginia. It was my first flight. I guess the instructor pilot wanted me to understand that the plane was not going to bust apart. So he showed me it was really capable of some maneuvers that, while they felt like they might, would not rip the wings off. To make a long story short, soon after that, Grandpa Gilstrap became ill and died. I tried to get there to see him just one more time, but he died before I could make it. I got on a 650 Nighthawk right before leaving Dallas and took it out on Elm Street. It was supposed to cheer me up. I was in over my head on this street. I ended up having a pretty bad accident, one that never fully healed. It really started the new marriage off in a bad way. Again, we're together about 7 years, with 3 separations along the way, the last one leading to divorce. I love those children and the family unit. She knew we were in trouble. I really tried hard to make it work, and then it didn't. I tried my best to be part of the children's life. I even had custody of my son over a year. I think what I learned from this marriage was that she really didn't want to be with me. I was a good starting point. Instead, she wanted to remake me into something I was not and was never going to be. She was also pretending to be someone else, and I found that I was never going to be the woman I wanted to be with her either. 3 wonderful children came out of this marriage. I really did enjoy being a father to them, especially when I was a stay-at-home dad for over 8 months. It was very rewarding. I wish it had worked out differently, but the children and I did become estranged for years. I only recently reconnected with my 2 daughters, who have since left the nest. I would have had no issue doing the same with my son, but unfortunately we couldn't find a way to do that which did not involve his mother, since he still lives with her. After that marriage and legal battles that took place as a result, I started trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. My son was gone now. The previous year had become completely dedicated to getting his life back on track, and we had made a lot of progress. Now that it looked like helping him more was no longer in the cards, what was I going to do with my life and time to make it more meaningful? I started falling back to my roots. I did a lot of hiking, biking, and kayaking, some by myself, some with relatives on a date, or with some activity groups I joined. Also, started thinking more about the next step in my career and education. If I couldn't be in law enforcement because of my eyesight, Maybe I could get into network securities. I was a bit inspired by Ed Amoroso and some others at my security conference in 2005 at a New York City hotel. Now I was told by one mentor that any certificate was great, but a college degree was better. While certifications come and go in the marketplace, the master's program would add value for a lifetime. I also figured out that in all the years of dating since the divorce in 1990 that I had been looking for a new mom for the children. Instead, since the way things were going, the children were no longer going to be in my life anymore, unless I wanted to keep throwing money and time at it. She was in a place in her life where I thought maybe things would be better for the children now, and I did not need to keep fighting her, especially winning in court but not having her comply with any of the orders. Plus, Clint was right in the middle of it all. I was worried about what all of this would do to him. Frankly, in Florida, it's a bit of an uphill battle. At least it was 20 years ago. The judges really wanted the children to be with the mother no matter what. So now I've landed on 1 to 2 master's programs as I had finished up a few classes at Strayer College to complete my undergrad. Most of this undergrad degree had been at George Mason, and it was just quicker to finish up at Strayer in any case. After exploring a few programs, I ended up at George Mason University again in their Information and Security Assurance ISA program. The only thing I didn't understand here is that they had essentially merged their programming departments into the ISA program. I was going to do some C, C++, Java, and other languages. This also added 3 years of foundation courses. Mostly it was complex math and programming, so it took 7 years to finish my ISA master's. Mara stuck it out with me the entire time, as she saw the value in it. We tried to work in as much fun as possible during those college years. We would get away to the New River Valley Gorge in West Virginia as much as possible. Even did the Gauley River one year, which is one of the top 10 in the world to raft down. It's never too late to start doing your bucket list types of trips. We went to Bermuda for our honeymoon and stayed at 9 beaches. It was really unique kind of experience. It no longer appears to be open now, but really nice back in 2007. We had a lot of fun that week. Great food, some fun on jet skis, and a tour boat where the guy was obsessed with Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones stories. Somehow, we managed to get a Caribbean cruise in, with a wonderful excursion to every port very early in our relationship, as well as a nice trip to Vegas. Later, she did do so well at work, they gave us some tickets to Europe. We went to Amsterdam and a few other places in the Netherlands. We stayed on a houseboat on a canal. We went to Belgium, which was a well-preserved medieval-like city. Then it was on to Paris, France, where we explored, including the Eiffel Tower, with dinner. We went to the Palace of Versailles, which I had been waiting to see after writing a paper about it in a college class. It was very interesting. We also went to Normandy Beach, not only to pay our respects to those who fought and died there, but also to soak up this very moving part of history. We also seemed to manage to make at least one trip out to Colorado every year, exploring to the north as far as Rocky Mountain National Park and to the south as far as Durango and Ouray. Our first trip to Colorado, after buying a small condo in Reston, I found the people here in Colorado to be more grounded and friendly. But Reston condo kept us grounded there so that I could finish up my master's program. Mara really supported me every step of the way. We also worked on a trip to Nova Scotia, Canada, with Bandit, renting a house in Antigonish. I'm not sure how we worked in all this traveling while I was in school, but somehow we did it. And right after I was done with the program, we escaped the ghetto we were living in there in Northern Virginia to what has been Mayberry RFD-like for us in comparison. I thought we would never leave Colorado again. We still live here. It's changed a lot, but 50% plus of our travel has been outside of Colorado these days. We were to continue life in our travel trailer until maybe our mid-60s, wrap it up, then start international travel again until we were too old for that. What made life together with Mara so great is that from the beginning, we accepted who we were and embraced that, not try to change each other or who we were. The cancer diagnosis changed everything. Neither of us really saw this coming. I hope that none of you ever have to go to anything like this either. That wraps up the stories of Steve's life that he's written that I've read to you. Our mother, Dorothy Gilstrap, would like to share some of her memories.
Okay, I have many happy memories of Steve, including when he was first born 9 months and 3 days after his dad and I got married. And way back to when he visited me on my birthday last year, and we went to visit Aunt Patsy and her family. And then I have a lot of several things that remind me of him in my apartment, including a picture of him and Laura, and one with him and his children. And then I have a gift from him that was a heart-shaped stone with flowers and butterflies that said, "Grandchildren are like wildflowers. It's fun to watch them grow." And then it has the name of 10 grandchildren. And then in my bedroom, I have a birthday greeting that he wrote. And it started with, "There's someone in my life," and all the way down to "Happy birthday from your son Steve. I love you." And it has pressed flower pictures of pressed flowers on it. So that's some of my happy memories and mementos.
Steve also left a list of people he'd like to thank. I'd first like to thank my brother Guy for providing so many of these pictures to make this memorial possible. Steve would like to thank Colin, Mike, the director Lindsay, and Heather from Level Blue HR. They have been so supportive. He could not have done this without you. Paul, my next door neighbor. He had been very concerned and supportive through my cancer diagnosis. Bill, he has been so supportive both at work and after my retirement. He checks in on me to see how I'm doing every few weeks to months. Mara has been really stepped up to the plate to do everything she can to help me. I feel loved by her, appreciated, and cherished. While she has her own medical issues and struggles to deal with, we try to help each other through our own personal struggles. We worked through initial bumps in the road and hit the ground running. We both had to adjust as I got sicker and closer to death. Mara has been a true hero through all of this with me. To you, Patty, I could not have gotten through this without all your love and support. I really appreciate it, little sis. Elizabeth and the entire team at Wolf Hoof Moo. They have been so supportive to Mara and the Hiking Huskies. Our neighbors Judith and Rick. While busy raising 2 children, they have shown us lots of support and love. Harrison has shown his mother and myself tremendous support lately. With the new truck he bought So he has finally a proper vehicle to get up here now to pick up food, meds, and doing other things to help us. A special thanks to Tracy. She has been our guardian angel lately. Our neighbor Bill, who helped with the trash one morning when he heard we were in trouble. And my sweet mother. She is such a good person. I call her the saint. I know she has been praying and asking others to do the thing. Thanks to her and all the others for praying for a miracle. Below, I will list songs that you can listen to in Steve's honor while maybe you go on a hike, have time with loved ones, and remember Steve in your own way.